I'll start recording.
Say something, Gail. Switch it to you. The video.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening. I don't know if everybody can hear me or not. I'm not hearing any feedback.
We can hear you just fine. You sound great, Gail. You sound just
okay.
Great.
Well, okay. Hang on.
You go ahead with the show. I will check and make sure that we're on. Let's not sit here and wait for YouTube to catch up.
Alrighty. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are. This is Gail of Gaia, and this is Free Range, where we graze on wild ideas. And I have with me today Ted Mahr, who is a psychic and a contactee and a very talented man with many, many different talents. 4 different degrees, as a matter of fact. I read today. I was surprised at that, Ted. And well, why don't you go ahead and speak and tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Thanks. I went to school for a long time until one of my professors said, Ted, don't you think it's time you get a real job? And I said,
professional student.
He was funny, but he was, I said, okay, I guess you're right. I don't know. So anyway,
so but you have a regular job now.
Well, I guess, yeah, I have my own psychic shows and television shows and everything. So I guess, it depends what you mean by regular. Well,
that's what I meant. Even your job now is not really what most people would consider regular, but that's all good because we love you for doing what you do.
Well, I was an attorney for over 20 years, but I wouldn't go back to that. Actually, I enjoy my work better now. It's a long story, but I had several near-death experiences growing up, including being hit by a car by a drunk driver in a car accident at 110 miles an hour. I was driving a little Volkswagen Beetle back in January of '78, and he crossed the center line and hit me head on. And he was driving a Pontiac Grand Prix, and when a Grand Prix hits a small little Volkswagen Beetle, you can die pretty easily. But I was saved. My head hit the steering wheel, it split the jaw in half. It caused hearing loss in my right ear, tinnitus in both ears. I still have tinnitus today, but it's better over time. Over 40 years, it starts to get better. I came close to death, and I realized after that the meaning of life, and I've been in touch with the angels actually ever since then. Well, actually since '94, when my foster mother was a master psychic for the Seattle Police Department, and she used to find missing and lost children for them. And then she started teaching me how to talk to the other side. And then when my dad passed away in March of '99, he came through her, and she agreed. They both agreed to teach me how to talk to the other side, as well as benevolent extraterrestrials. And so that's what I've been doing. I had a kind of a midlife crisis back in, what was it, 12 or 13, where I didn't like what I was doing. A lot of people wanted me to lie, steal, and cheat for them being an attorney, and I didn't want to do it. I said, I can't do this anymore. Ethically, I can't. I don't care how much money you pay me, I can't. So
I'm proud of you for that. When you said you weren't an attorney anymore, licensed to lie.
But there's a lot of good people in the profession. I'm not degrading anybody. I'm just saying, for me, a lot of reasons I decided to do what I'm doing now. And actually, in a library, a homeless man came up to me and he said, Ted, use my name, you need to start writing books and have your own radio show. And then a month later, I got the same message from another fellow at another library saying the same thing. And one thing led to the other. I I prayed to the angel. I asked my angel, said, how am I going to do this? I don't know the first thing about doing a radio show. And I met this lady who knew this manager at KKNW in Seattle, and she arranged a meeting with him, and within 45 minutes I'd signed a contract. And then I scratched my head afterwards, and I'm going to pay for this. And it's just been through. They said, don't worry, it'll be like donation based, nonprofit, and it's money's come in to cover the costs. So it's all donation. I haven't looked. They said don't look back, and I haven't looked back since. Everything's worked out just fine. So and then back in 2015, I started getting in contact with Albert Einstein, who introduced me to Leonardo da Vinci, and then Robert F. Kennedy, and then John F. Kennedy, and Nostradamus, Mahatma Gandhi, Nikola Tesla, Benjamin Franklin, the Galactic Alliance, Dwight D. Eisenhower. There's a whole bunch of spirits I've been in contact with since. And they gave me a whole bunch of messages in this that I published in this book a couple of years ago called Messages from the Masters, about our beautiful, bright future. And everything that they've said in this book has come true so far, everything. Not one thing's been wrong.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Maybe we could go over a few of those messages, just a couple of them.
Yeah, it also has winning lotto numbers for next Monday's lottery too, if you want. Would you
really? Sure, why not? I'm not a lottery player or anything like that, but maybe some people out there are, and they might appreciate that.
I'll tell you what to bet on for $2 on Monday, and we can split the proceeds, okay? If you like.
All right, sounds like a plan to me. Okay.
But yeah, they if John F. Kennedy, for example, had lived, we would have ascended into the fifth dimension a couple decades ago. There would have been no Vietnam War, no Gulf War. We would be living in a paradise right now, and our longevity rates would been up easily 300 or 400 years per person. On advanced human civilizations beyond Earth, people live an average of about 1,000 years and up to 25,000 years. And we would have gone into the fifth dimension by now. This Earth is slated for ascension, and we are starting that process now. There are parts of the planet shifting into the fifth dimension. Mount Shasta is shifting into the fifth dimension right now as we speak. And Japan will be shifting into the fifth dimension this summer. Believe it or not.
Really? What about Sedona?
And I was just going to say, my next breath, Sedona will be shifting this fall into the fifth 5D. So you are in a good spot. It's not.
Yeah, I don't want to leave.
It's not uniform for the whole planet and not all at once, because there are some dark pockets of negativity there. But it's going to be a very interesting time for all of us. And I myself have waited 52,000 years for this ascension. That's how long I've been here. I've been here a long time.
Well, okay. So you haven't been through any ascension before on any other planet that you're aware of?
Well, let me explain a little bit of the background. I've been here 52,000 years, or 2 Mayan Kutun cycles. A Mayan Kutun cycle is 25,800 years, and it's when this planet in this solar system goes around the central sun of this Milky Way galaxy. That's 25,800 years. And for those people who miss this ascension now, they will be given another opportunity to ascend, but they will have to wait 1 Mayan Kutun cycle, 25,800 years for that to happen. That's why President Kennedy told me about 3 or 4 months ago, leave no neighbor behind, try to bring as many people as you can on the spiritual journey, because they'll have to wait a long time for the next train or the next boat leaving to the higher dimensions.
Well, I have to ask you, because I'm sure people are wondering this right now, what will determine whether or not people stay or go? And I don't know if stay is the right word, but not ascend, not how will that be determined?
Well, it's you've got to start thinking with your heart mind rather than your logical mind. That's the first thing. A second factor that's not exclusively determinative, but it is a factor now, is the program that many people have been part of, and you know what I mean. Yes. That program actually shuts down
the mass experiment.
Right.
Is another way of
program
saying it.
actually shuts down all of your 8 chakras and shuts down your pineal gland, so you have no tie-in to God. And there's also a high mortality rate with it as well. So you can get help from the Galactics if you've gone into the program, but if anybody needs help, they're welcome to email me at, if it's okay, it's out of this world 1150@gmail.com. I'm happy to help anyone who would like help. But we are shifting. It's amazing how tenacious the negative forces are in trying to stop our ascension, and all kinds of things. I found out a couple days ago that chicken, many places in the United States, chicken and beef are full of nanobots now.
Yes, the magnetation.
Right, and so when you
magnetic,
when you eat it, when you eat it, then it goes into your body and you end up getting control. That's the same things in this program as well. I suspect, I've been talking to a couple scientists about that. We all suspect that beef and chicken also have taken part of the program as well. So if you're having a barbecue this 4th of July in the United States, or Canada Day on July 1st in Canada, take a magnet and see if the meat's magnetized. I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole, because they're putting that in there. It's illegal too. It's completely illegal.
Can I say something?
Sure.
I actually did see a video that showed magnetized meat, and I went looking for the kind of magnets that you used, and you know that they are out of stock pretty much everywhere in the country.
Wow.
That size and type of magnet is out of stock.
Wow.
Not available.
Well, you know what? What I did is I got into a time machine, Paul, and I went back to last summer and I bought my magnets then, and I came back to this time frame. No, I'm just kidding. But no, I have a friend of mine who gave me some refrigerator magnets that still work. They work fine. You can tell. So, wow.
Okay, I do have one more quick question.
Well, I have to say, I'm happy I'm not eating meat.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
Go
ahead, Paul.
If you're careful, you'll probably be okay. If you don't want to eat meat, that's fine too. But I'm just saying, always check your meat with a magnet, and if it sticks, forget it. Don't even touch it with a 10-foot pole, because some of the meat has been part of the program too, and they're not telling you. So,
yeah,
so is
be
that,
particularly wary of meat that's on sale.
Yeah, right. Or made by some of the bigger manufacturers. I have a list here. We've done a study here,
like Tyson and Hormel.
I can give you some brand names. Foster Farms.
Wow.
Draper
Tyson?
Valley. Some of them, no problems at all. No problems at all, to be honest with you. I went to one grocery store called Grocery Outlet locally here, and none of their meat, in their entire meat, it's a small store, but none of their meat had any nanobots. No, it wasn't magnetized a bit. You go over to another store, like you go over to some of the other stores, and almost all of them are stick magnetized. So it really depends on where you go. Let me see how Jenny O's, the turkey breast, completely magnetized.
Oh no, you're
Johnsonville
kidding
sausages, completely magnetized. Johnsonville, the bratwurst doesn't stick, but the Italian sausage is magnetized really heavily. It really depends upon who it is. A lot of times the T-bone, if you test the fat itself, very heavily magnetized. Pot roast, the marbling in the fat, that's where the nanobots and metals end up. It's in the fat, very heavily magnetized. Beef ribeyes, the fat is where it ends up. So we need to be careful right now. We can't assume anything is good to eat.
I would assume that might go for drinking too, because I heard that they were talking about the possibility of poisoning water, municipal water supplies, depending on where you are, sometimes that can be pretty easy. It would be fairly easy in Arizona.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I can't comment on that, but I wouldn't put anything past them. But definitely you want to check out your meat. And especially look at the timing. It's being done now, which is just before the holiday in the United States and Canada, when traditionally a lot of people do have barbecues.
Barbecue.
Yeah, and especially like, what about, I haven't even checked out the Big Mac burgers at McDonald's, or I don't know. I just don't know. They're question marks. Why are they
Well,
doing
when I
it?
found out that they serve meat that has human meat in it as well, and many of them have closed down as a result of that, which is really terrible. So that's another whole issue. It's a means to be able to control you, isn't that correct?
Right, that's right.
The nanobots.
Yeah, it's designed to control and monitor us. People are asking me what kind of magnet. I'll show you what I got here. It's just a simple refrigerator magnet. I don't know, Paul, whether you can buy them or not or anymore, to be honest with you, but it's a simple little, like you have it on your
yeah, on the
yeah. It's on it like that. You put it on there for like putting your grocery list on the refrigerator. That's a pretty strong magnet thing.
Yeah, those they're called rare earth magnets, or neodymium, and they have a very, very tight magnetic field, and because it's so very tight, it's very, very strong. So their pull force is like anywhere between 40 and 60 pounds for like this magnet the size of a quarter.
Right. Yeah.
So when you put it right up to the meat, if there is any magnetic material in there, it's going to react to it.
Yeah, it gives you very accurate, reading on it.
Well, speaking of the little nano nasties in general, my question that I wanted to ask a couple of minutes ago, speaking of the nano nasties in general, particularly with respect to the treatment that people are receiving, now, does that have the effect? Because a person asked me, he said, well, because I've already gotten the jab, does that mean that I'm beyond help, that there's no saving me?
That's not true.
Well, so what I said to him was that it's very difficult to detox from, and unless you do detox from it, it's going to exponentially grow in the growing medium, which becomes the person, and eventually it's going to get to the point where so much of your chakras and so much of your pineal gland is shut down, you are actually disconnected from higher intelligence, and eventually your soul is going to get to the point where it no longer recognizes the vessel, and it's just going to leave. Now, you're not going to die at that point, because there is already a mechanized Borgish type vehicle or control system that will continue motoring you around even though you are essentially walking dead. That was the explanation that I gave him. Was I incorrect?
No, my friend. I can explain that, actually. You're not incorrect at all, Paul. I've talked to the Galactics.
Thank you for that, Paul.
Yeah, thank you,
Welcome.
Paul. I've talked to the Galactics about this kind of situation, and a lot of people are totally innocent. Children, young adults, people of all ages, retired. They think they're doing the right thing, and they don't care. On the media is so controlled, they don't hear any other information about the problems with this stuff.
Exactly.
So the Galactics have said, they've told me that they will step in and help children who've has been part of this program. And with respect to everybody else, if they've taken it and they want to get help, there's two things they need. You have to want to live. Some people don't care about living or dying. Have you ever talked to somebody about that? And they say, oh, I don't care whether I live or die. And they're going to get their wish. If they don't care about living, then they will exit. So the first thing is they have to want to live. And the second thing is that they have to believe in higher spiritual powers, or the supreme being, if you will. Not in a religious sense so much, but just higher spiritual powers. If they believe in higher spiritual powers and want to live, they can ask the Galactics for help, and they will happily step in and help them. Now, the Galactics can reverse everything in this program, including the genetic alterations. They can reverse everything. Our earth scientists can, with the med beds, they'll be able to remedy a lot of things except for the genetic damage. They can't reverse that. But the galactics will, and I'll tell you how to do it. It's very simple. You put your hand over your heart, bow your head slightly. If you're contacting the Pleiadians, who are part of the Galactic Alliance, bow your head slightly and ask them for help. They have 2.5 million ships now around this planet, and they're helping us with the ascension. And I'm in contact with them on a regular basis. They said they'd be more than happy to help anyone who asks for their help, but you have to ask. If you don't do anything, it can be cause you to shorten your life. The other thing to do is to contact the Galactics. The Galactic Alliance is an alliance of 450 million planets in this 1/3 part of the Milky Way galaxy. They are up to 100,000 years ahead of us technologically and up to 50,000 years ahead of us spiritually. To contact the Galactics, I've got their phone number right here, and I'll give it to you now. Sorry. There's intergalactic charges for calling off planet, so you have to be prepared, but you'll need your credit card. No, I'm just kidding. To get a hold of them, you do what's called the hue, which is a meditation technique. It goes like this. It's like the hue in human. It goes like this. Hue. And as Nikola Tesla has told me, it's good to do it in 3s. So do it twice more. Hue. And one more time. Hue. They will be happy to come in and ameliorate the effects of the program. So I don't want you to worry too much about it if you've gotten it. But the thing that does happen, Paul, when people are part of this program, the first thing that happens, your soul separates from your biological body. And in that sense, you do die. Spiritually, you're dead. But you can get that back, but only with galactic help. The second thing that happens... I was just
going to say something very quickly. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's all right. The second thing that happens...
No, finish what you were saying. I'm sorry.
All 8 chakras shut down. If you take the first part of it, you usually lose about 20 to 50% of your chakras, as well as 20 to 50% of your pineal gland. When you take the second part of the program, they're all gone completely. And so what I found talking to people and clients who've been part of the program, it's like their soul is not attached to their body anymore. And when you talk to them, they're scattered everywhere because their soul no longer has an attachment to the body. And go ahead. Yeah.
Doesn't the spirit kind of direct the body, and that would be explain that to some extent, in terms of, you know, the spirit directs the body more or less. Right. The thing that concerns me about that, and I would have the same concern with the Galactics, is due to the fact that so many people on this planet have been cornered into some type of religion that tells them that galactics do not exist, that extraterrestrials are not real, they're demons, or there's some other entity that you wouldn't want to interact with, which is extremely unfortunate, considering they may be the only avenue of help with this particular program.
Well, some of those same entities who claim that may also claim in the same breath that CNN is to be trusted. And we should believe everything that CNN, MSNBC, CBS, ABC, CBS, PBS all say, because they are the truth, right? And if you see it on television, it's truth, right? So people will have to alter their belief systems. Isn't
that mind control, though? Isn't that mind control and programming? A
lot of it's mind control. That's true. That's true. I want to give a shout out to my good friend Tom Palladino. His scalar, he has a free, I think it's 15 or 30-day program. He can genuinely help people. You can look him up, scalarlight, I believe, .net.
Yes.
.com, but look up Tom Palladino, Palladino. He's a great man. He has free programs for people. All he wants to do is help people. So I definitely check him out and avail himself of his free program. That does help. Just send your picture in and he'll do the rest. That does help. The other thing too is to take for people out a pen and piece of paper, you should probably write this down, is to take the rinds of 3 grapefruit and 3 lemons or 3 oranges. And you take the rinds and you put about 2 inches of water on top of the rinds in a small metal pan with a metal top to it, and let it simmer for 2 or 3 hours. And that makes a very high vitamin C liquid. It's bitter, but you can add some sugar or honey to taste, sweetener to it, and that'll really help too. That's called HCQ. That'll make yours. And the other thing too is to drink pine needle tea. You can get that on Amazon, or if you got a pine tree, you can just take the pine needles and make that into a tea. That's supposed to be very good.
They even have a pine needle Bach flower thing, that homeopathic type that you could use as well, that I'm sure would be helpful too for the same thing. Suramin, I guess, is the substance that is helpful for the spike protein.
Oh yeah. So, but
we have a question that somebody wants to ask or wanted to ask, so I thought I'd better ask you. It says, are we going to liberate other planets?
That opens up a lot of interesting issues. Not now, but eventually we will become a spacefaring civilization. Let me check quick on that question. About under a time, some years ago, I got the message that 4,000 years out from current timeline, on the current timeline, 4,000 years from now, we would go out and start to be a spacefaring race, as other humans are spacefaring races as well, and we would liberate other planets at that time. But that's still quite a ways off.
What I heard,
we have to liberate ourselves first, don't we?
I would think so, yeah.
What I heard was that as far as liberation goes, the United States being the last bastion of freedom on Earth, if the United States falls, then the planet is gone. And we have to liberate the planet first, and then the planet Earth, Gaia, Terra, whatever you want to call it, will be an integral part of supporting the universe. If the United States falls, Earth falls, and if Earth falls, the galactics are concerned that a lot of races, planets in the universe will fall as well. We're part of the saving grace. So we have work to do.
Let me explain a little bit about that. Alex Collier talks about a galactic meeting that was held in 1996 among the different races and species of the Galactic Alliance. Now, the Galactic Alliance, their formal name is the Galactic Alliance of Interdimensional Free Worlds. They comprise approximately 450 trillion or million planets, or about 7 trillion entities in this 1/3 part of the Milky Way galaxy. They're mostly human, not all, but mostly human and all benevolent. And they said there was a big meeting back in 96 as to whether they should help Earth, help us on the planet here. And the vote was close, but they agreed collectively to help each other, to help us. And what was the deciding factor is that there are many entities from different higher dimensions. There's 12 different dimensions, and there are some entities here from the 9th and 10th dimensions and 8th and 7th dimensions from other civilizations who are trapped here in a karmic cycle. And it's affecting other civilizations' evolution as well. Of all the planets, for example, in this solar system, the Earth is the laggard, and it's not so much Gaia herself, but it's the people here. Some of the people here who just refuse to wake up. So back in September of 2016, Mother Earth decided to go on her own, and she did that by doubling the Schumann resonance. For tens of thousands of years, the Schumann resonance, or the resonance of this planet, was 7.8 hertz. Up until September 2016, when it doubled to 13.8 hertz. And since that time, it's gone up well over 10,000 hertz. So she's well on our way. And the other planets in this solar system, and there are 40 planets and other dimensions in this solar system, not 8 or 9, but 40, but if you count the other dimensions. And they're all ascending as well. So it's a solar system wide ascension that's happening now. And all the eyes of the universe right now are watching to see what happens on this planet. So, and the decisions we make now will affect us for tens of thousands of years in the future. Some of the grays you see with the big black eyes, they're 4 feet tall, they don't have a soul, they're very cerebral, okay? They have no source to God, nothing. Some of those are humans now who are part of this program, who decided to be part of the program, and then through many generations of boosters and genetic alteration, they become the robotoids, the robots of the grays, the big black eyes and no soul. But some of them have come back to warn us about that happening, which is happening now. The demarcation line is happening right now. It started in January with the program. And there's a real battle right now between on our consciousness right now. One of the things that Stalin found after World War II, Stalin was a fan of Adolf Hitler. And Hitler said that if you say a lie loud enough and long enough, people will believe it, no matter what it is. And Stalin did an experiment, for example, after World War II, and he took 50 Soviet citizens and told them a lie every day for 2 months. At the end of the 2 months, 96% of those people believed the lie, and they wouldn't change their mind. Only 4% remained steadfast. So where I live now on the left coast, there's a lot of brainwashed people. You can give them studies about the program, they won't read it. They just think you're nuts. They call it conspiracy theories, which they're shut down completely. And I feel sorry for them because they're going to get hurt badly. But that's what you're dealing with is this brainwashed phenomenon. There was an operation in the 60s called Operation Mockingbird, and it talked about this same kind of mind control, and it's through all the media. That's why alternative programs like yours and mine are very important for people to realize, to get the word out there, to get the truth out there, whatever the truth is. So
there was also
that's very disturbing, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was also a guy who tested a theory. He took 50 people and he told those 50 people a lie, and 40 of the people or so were told to believe it, parrot the lie. The other 10 were not. But what he found was that people are crowd pleasers, and that it doesn't matter if you tell them something that they absolutely positively know to be false. If there are other people around them that think it's true, then they will say the same thing.
Peer pressure kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like believing, not wanting to stand out from the crowd.
Well, yeah, because they're not leaders; they're followers.
Yeah.
Right. Getting a lot of questions in the chat room. Just responded.
Okay.
Responded, but they can be helped. People can be helped. This is not doom and gloom. They can get help. They want it. They can get it. I think the hardest hurdle for many people is to believe there's more than you can touch, feel, taste, and see. And that goes beyond this dimension, I mean, people talk about love all the time, but you can't quantify that in the third dimension, but it's definitely there. You know what I mean? That's what
Mm-hmm.
Albert Einstein wrote about in his letter called The Bomb of Love. That if he had to do everything over again, he would have created a bomb of love instead of a bomb of destruction.
Uh-huh.
He said that it was the most powerful and important force in the universe, and I agree with him. It's an amazing letter. He wrote it in 1955, and he gave it to his daughter at the time, Listrel, with instructions not to release it until 30 years later, which she did. I don't know why. I'll have to talk to Albert sometime about why he waited. I think he said now that the world wasn't ready for it. He thought it would be ready in the mid 80s. So, but listen, I want to tell you some good news. There was a series of. It's not all doom and gloom, and I don't want to leave anybody with that kind of impression. There was a series of books written by the Willis Canon back in the late 80s. And I just happen to have these books here. It's called Conversations with Nostradamus in a 3-volume set. And what it is that she and about a dozen of her psychic students time traveled and talked to Nostradamus about his quatrains. And he was happy to see her and her students, because at the time his quatrains were getting misconstrued, and he had to write things often in cryptic languages because the Catholic Church might end up executing him for prophecy, for heresy. So anyway, in these books it talked about the start of a nuclear war, a third world war in 1993 in Bosnia-Herzegovina. And by 2005, many cities in the United States and elsewhere around the world would be in rubble, completely destroyed. That didn't happen. We made it through it. And then we made it through that period, that rough period, because people cumulatively got together, decided we wanted a better future for our families and ourselves, and we were against our arms race. And there were things put in place to stop the nuclear arms race here in the United States and in the Soviet Union. And we didn't go on that warlike path. And now I don't see any kind of conflict or nuclear war in the future. And so we're on a much better timeline. But this whole thing about the program is something I would have never thought would have happened, otherwise. And I'm so sorry that so many people have been. They remind me of the Jews of Germany in World War II, where they
exactly.
A lot of the Jews.
It's absolutely amazing.
Got on the cattle
people
cars.
Just line up.
Yeah, a lot of Jews got on. A lot of people got on the cattle cars in Nazi Germany, thinking that Hitler really was going to give them a better life, with new opportunities in the East. And it was all a bunch of lies. I mean, so it's the same thing now too. It's the same exact thing. So.
Yeah, it's very disturbing that people are being so misled and lied to, blatantly lied to. I mean, we have health professionals who are encouraging this and who are administering it. And quite frankly, I think it violates the Nuremberg Code. And I think at some point they will be held accountable. But just out of curiosity, well, here's a good question. How close is full disclosure?
Well,
somebody just asked that.
Full disclosure has been going on since Star Trek in the 60s, and the sci-fi movies of the 50s. So when it finally comes, it's going to be kind of like people will yawn and say, "Oh, yeah, well, that's fine." So we have replicators. So you have little like phones that are like, you flip the little flip phones. That was all of the technology that Gene Roddenberry wrote about and showed in his Star Trek films, or movies and the TV series back in the 60s. He was being fed that information from the galactics as a way for disclosure. So it's already now. If you want to think that if you think that any government's going to come out and say yes, they're here, they're going to do it when they want to. Some of the governments are corrupt and they want to control the narrative. But what the galactics and the positives are doing, they're going around the governments. That's why they put a lot of crop circles in England every year, because the English government does not want disclosure at least on the scale that it should be done. So that's what they do. They put the crop circles out there, and people start asking questions and get that information out. So I think disclosure is already here.
Okay, well, someone that works with crop circles had mentioned that a message had come through from Gaia about no more or something to that effect. I'm still trying to figure out what exactly she might have meant by that. Do you have any? Do you anticipate there'll be more crop circles coming up here to educate people in any way?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I was in England a couple of years ago, and I tried to, it was in the spring, and there was a new crop circle that appeared north of London. I just couldn't get there fast enough in time. It would have been fun to go there. But yeah, England's a good place. Now, we were getting crop circles here in the United States up until about 2012. And I haven't heard any since. Maybe they feel that they can get enough information out, you know, on in the meantime. I have to tell you, ever heard of a treaty called the Treaty of Merida?
You asking me? No, I haven't.
Yeah. Okay. Paul, have you heard that?
Paul,
have you heard that?
No, I have not. Okay.
It's an illegal treaty. Sorry, I'm just answering a few questions. It's an illegal treaty that was done, executed in March of 1954 by President Eisenhower. And he said that the treaty was never ratified by Congress. And it said basically that in exchange for allowing some creepy negative entities called the reptilians and the Greys to abduct humans and study us, that they would be allowed to, they would give us some of their antiquated technology, advanced technology, to fight the Soviets at the time. And they did.
Oh yeah, okay. I heard about that treaty, but I just my brain didn't connect the name.
Right.
That's I heard of that treaty too. Yeah, I didn't connect the name. That was with Eisenhower, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, he I've talked to him about it extensively since then, and he felt he was pressured by the negatives. But you see, you got to understand, 6 months before, he was offered technology and spiritual help from the Pleiadians and the Galactics to come in and eradicate all disease on this planet and create a beautiful paradise here on the planet. Richard Nixon, Tricky Dick Nixon, was against it because a lot of his friends were in big pharma and the AMA, American Medical Association. They were making a lot of money, and they still do, off of people suffering and diseases, because they just treat the symptoms instead of actually curing anything. And so he was against it. Also, the Joint Chiefs of Staff and the military was against it, because the Pleiadians and the Galactics wanted us to get rid of our nuclear weapons, and they turned the offer down. Although Eisenhower did like them, and so when these reptilians showed up in March of '54, they told Eisenhower, "Well, you either sign this agreement, or we're going to go to the Soviets and give them our technology, and they'll become the preeminent power on planet Earth." And little did Eisenhower know, but at the same time, he was in negotiation with these creepy negative reptilians. They were doing the same thing with the Khrushchev and the Soviet Union in Moscow, doing the same thing. So they had playing both sides. Later, our government found out that they were both doing it. So I just want to just briefly tell people, if you'd like any of my books, you can go to Out of This World Readings, that's plural.com, and you can order it there, or order a reading from me is fine. And if I always give, if people are, I look at this as a service to people, so that if you don't have enough money for a reading, don't worry about it. You can donate whatever you like, and I'll give free readings to people, or down and out, maybe as the little direction in life, and I'm happy to do that.
That's awesome. Well, can we, you want to talk just a little bit about the other book, the one about how to communicate with angels and benevolence?
Oh yeah, thank you. The one book I've got is Messages from the Masters, and the second one is a book is a book called Journey to the Other Side, and I think I've got that copy here. This is This is the manuscript here. It actually was sent to my publisher in Munich, Germany, last August, and it was supposed to be printed in Germany in German and English last fall. Well, since that time, of course, we've had this pandemic where everything's locked down, and so everything's been delayed. But I know it's gonna come out eventually. If people like an advanced copy, I'm happy to send them one. Just write me an email to outofthisworld1150@gmail.com. I'm happy to send them one, or the other book. I'm working on a third book now on a blueprint for humanity's future, using the experience of the Telosians underneath Mount Shasta, my Pleiadian friends, because the Pleiadians went through a very tough time 52,000 years ago. They had a civil war within their constellation, and millions of people died during that time, and they had to go through a lot of suffering to get to the point where they are now. But they hope that we don't have to go through that same suffering and conflict that they went through earlier.
Well, it seems like we're going through quite a bit of conflict, or the dark side is doing everything they can to keep the planet and people from advancing. And
I know,
but they keep saying they can't stop what's coming, so I hope that's really true.
Right. Yeah, they can't stop. What happened is that the supreme being, the creator, if you will, God, if you will, who created all that there is, has decreed that this planet shall ascend into the fifth dimension. That's happening now already. And that's why President Kennedy said, leave no neighbor behind, try to bring as many people as possible with you. But we have obstacles here. We have obstacles from the media, which is controlled by the negatives. We've got obstacles in government. There are sectors in different governments which are controlled by the bad boys. Look what's happening in Canada. Just yesterday, the Canadian Parliament passed something called, I don't think they even had any debate on it. I think they just, Trudeau just signed it. It's called the Bill C-10, Susan Charlie -10, which said that the Trudeau government can now completely shut down all freedom of speech on the internet in Canada, radios, newspapers, and they have to toe the party line as to what Justin Trudeau wants in Canada. He admires the Chinese Communist Party in China, and says that Canada, I said before, that Canada should be more like China in the future. So that's where he's coming from. And you're not going to read about this in the different news sources, but I found out about it last night. It just passed Parliament. There was no discussion. It's kind of like, yeah.
That's very disturbing. That means Canadians are going to have to rise up, and they're not. They don't tend to be that way that much. It doesn't seem.
The country is a beautiful country. I have many beautiful friends in Canada. I miss having the border closed and not being able to go up there. I love the people. In the past, I've thought about emigrating up there, but I'm glad to be here in the United States during this time in history. Canada is different from the United States in the sense that they negotiated a separation from Britain in 1867. But the Queen Elizabeth, the royal family, still controls much. It still has a big influence up there, and a certain percentage of their GDP does go to the royal family. I'm not sure, maybe 10%, 5%. I'm not sure. It's the same arrangement that Australia has as well.
Well, our federal income taxes used to go to the Crown.
Right. Oh, yeah. Really?
In the Vatican. Wow. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Wow.
Can I ask something?
Sure. Go ahead, Paul.
I saw a meme. It was pictures of Justin Trudeau, years ago and today, and it drew lines on the facial structure, the nose position, the shape, the protrusion of his forehead, and they didn't seem to match. It's like the Justin Trudeau that's there now is not the same one that was there before.
Year and a half ago, I don't know if you heard this story or not, but I heard it from reliable sources in Canada that his wife, he came home after a trip somewhere and his wife met him and she said, who are you? You are not my husband. And ever since then, she started complaining about this guy, and whoever he was. And so after that time, she moved out of the family home. I don't know where she is now. She's got the children. I'm not sure what the status is. I think she's going through divorce. Again, you're not going to hear about it in the media. It's all kept quiet. But she herself, Trudeau's wife, said herself that this was not my husband. What did you do with him? Where is he?
Okay, so who is this guy? Is the guy that's in there now, is he a good guy playing a part of an evil SOB? Or is he a bad guy that replaced Trudeau before?
I don't look at good and bad. I think what he's doing is carrying out the agenda of the negatives. And I've heard rumors again and again about the ankle bracelet around his leg, that he's actually been arrested. And what we're seeing is either a double or a clone.
Double.
And then the real one is in jail somewhere. That's all I know. And I think in a way, the white hats are letting this all play out in a way, so they can have that much more ammunition against some of these negative leaders. But I feel sorry for the Canadian people. I have a lot of friends in Canada. I love it up there, and it
is a beautiful country.
Suffering. Yeah, they're suffering like you wouldn't believe it. The Prime Minister of Ontario, Ford, I'm not sure. Ford, forgive me if I got the wrong name, said last week that he wanted the police to arrest everyone who was walking outside. And now not arrest, but have the police ask everybody what they're doing outside, because they only allowed them, I guess, one short trip per day or per week or whatever, keeping them like in a prison. And the police refused. So
Wow.
I got to hand it to the police up in Ontario. They refused to do what their prime minister did. But I know there's a lot more freedom as you go west in Canada. British Columbia it's not ideal, but there's more freedom there. There's more freedom in Alberta. Although Calgary is locked down. It's still a kind of a mess, but as you generally go from east to west, there's generally more freedom, but it's not ideal, believe me, and there's a lot of restrictions. But and a lot of people are protesting up there. You're not going to hear it on the news, but there's a lot of protest against it right now.
What do you foresee here in the States happening?
You really want to know?
You might as well. Yeah.
I try to keep positive, and I don't want to be a downer. Okay. Hold on. The letter before R told me something new last week with respect to the situation here in the US. I don't know if it's going to extend to Canada. It could, but there would be an open civil war starting soon in the United States. It's gotten to that point. And I don't know how it's going to play out. I know the White Hats, that they are in control. One of the delays this year is that they had to get all of the military on the side of the good guys to turn things around. That didn't happen until March, when there were two generals. One was in charge of the National Guard, another McNeely. I can't remember the guy's.
Milley. Yes.
It was what?
Milley.
Milley, that's him. Yeah, they had to get those guys corralled because they were deep state. But I don't know how this is going to lack out. It's the first time he's mentioned it to me. He said he thought there was going to be a civil war here in the United States. I don't know if it'll spill over to other countries. Mexico's, by the way, beautiful country, heart-centered people. I love Mexico and Mexicans. Very nice place. They were never shut down. There's a lot of freedom in Mexico, even today. And I see Mexico actually advancing first ahead of the United States, because they're not part of the program. They were never shut down. The economy is doing fine. There isn't suffering down there that we have artificially created up here. And it's going to be a place that I think many people will want to move to in the future. But that's one new thing he said, which was troubling. But I'll have to wait to see more details. There's so many timelines that could go any way, but the decisions we make now will affect us for thousands of years.
Well,
So,
here's a problem I see. Since we have so many people that are asleep, those
right,
of us that are not asleep are impacted by their unwillingness to wake up,
right,
which
right, right.
seems unfair. And I don't know how that can be
Sure.
remedied or compensated for.
Gail, I'm so sorry. Someone's at my door. I'm going to tell them I'm busy. I'll be back in 1 second. Just keep talking. I'll be back 30
Okay,
seconds.
no problem. Okay, no problem. Um, that's just very disturbing to me that there's so many people that don't want to wake up, and I don't know what we can do to cause them to wake up.
Well,
Um,
well, it's a horrible thing to say, but some of those people will be instruments of their own
destruction.
awakening, as it were, because they're standing in line right now. So who knows? Maybe that's part of the deal.
Yeah, that's.
Well,
Somebody's
because
asking about.
that friend of mine,
So sorry.
I
Okay.
sent that friend of mine a video, and it was a really good video, and it was intended. The reason I sent it to him was I wanted to get him to start to think. Okay, this is the same guy that asked if he was beyond salvation, whether he was beyond help.
Oh, okay.
And what he did was he rocketed back to me Charlie Bravo Sierra network station report, which was basically a parrot of an Alpha Papa newswire release that was completely false. And I just rocketed a message back to him, laughing my butt off. You're seriously going to send me a news report from that network that is parroting that controlled news service? You're seriously going to send that to me? Has nothing I've said to you over the last 3 to 5 years actually sunk in? And apparently not.
That, oh my goodness. I just saw your answer to Kim Guggen, about Kim Guggen, Ted. That's very interesting.
Everyone's entitled to their opinion. This is, let me be kind of polite when I'm going to say next.
Okay.
There's people that I get not good feelings about, and she's one of them that I definitely don't get a good feeling about. She made up some stories last week about some things that were happening to President Trump, which were absolutely fabricated. And I realized,
thank you. I heard that. I'm going, oh my God.
Yeah, they were fabricated. And the thing, you see, their mind's very, very powerful. And when she's making up these fabrications about President Trump, people could believe it. And if they do, he could get seriously harmed or die as a result. So I started looking into her, and I didn't like what I was seeing. But I'm not, everyone, as I said, even with my things that I do, as with everybody, if you resonate with it and you think it's true, then go with it. If you don't get a good feeling about it, walk away. And that's what you always have to do, is trust your heart and mind for guidance. But personally, she's one that I would stay away from.
That's been my feeling too. What about somebody's asking about Russell J. Gould?
Don't know much about him. I don't know much about him, so.
He saved the flag, the way I understand it, at great sacrifice. But I think he's good. And now someone's asking, is Trump coming back?
God, I've been asked that so many times.
So many times.
I thought he was going to come back. I thought he was going to come back in March. Then I thought it would be June. Now it's toward the end of June. I've heard August now.
Yeah, it keeps changing. It's disturbing.
Yeah, I do see him coming back, but what can I say? You know.
Yeah. Well, is he playing? Is he teetering back and forth between good and bad, or I guess many people don't understand why he hasn't come back.
There's a vast negative organization that runs this planet, or tried to run.
Mhm.
And we're talking about hundreds of thousands of people. It's taking time to round up everybody, and it's taking longer than the White Hats ever thought possible. Fortunately, here in the United States, we do have a component of the U.S. military that's what's called the White Hats, and they're doing good things. They believe in the U.S. Constitution, and they are helping our country right now. And they're rounding up a lot of people. But that's all I know. It's very kind of a secretive thing. I know I've been told that all the governors of all the 50 states have gotten letters about that they're being investigated. I don't know too much about that. I've heard that our governor here in Washington State, what's his name, Inslee, Democrat, he's not in the state capitol anymore, Olympia. He's off in some jail somewhere. And what he's been doing for the past year and a half has been government by press releases. I mean, the legislature doesn't even meet. Who knows what they do now? We get this press release out on like they're giving they're giving $1 million away to somebody who takes the program, and which is kind of a silly thing, but they're so desperate to get people into this program that they're doing that now. But I don't know where the guy is. People haven't seen his face in public in months, many months. Who knows? My own guides tell me that he's off arrested somewhere. So, and then you kind of wonder, well, who's issuing these press releases then, right? I don't know.
What about what's going on in Arizona at the current time regarding the, I guess we have to be careful about the papers that are counted and that kind of thing. But what do you have on that? Anything?
Well, I can tell you quite a bit. This is a time of truth, astrologically speaking. It started in April of 2014 when the planets aligned after 2012, they started aligning in a new pattern. And the election in Arizona was completely false, as were many elections across the United States. In Washington State, as an example, Democratic Governor Inslee theoretically, supposedly got 69% of the vote as a Democrat in the Dominion voting systems, which we know but yet he only made one campaign speech where he was booed off the thing. His opponent made campaign speeches all over the state, and yet, according to this vote system, the other guy only got 31% of the vote. I think that's not accurate. But there are things happening behind the scenes now. I don't know too much about it, but I think eventually the truth will come out, about the elections.
It seems like people will be arrested as well because there's some serious shenanigans going on, that's for sure.
Right. What I want to tell you is I go to Mount Shasta a couple times a year, and I have had some issues recently regarding the trips. And so I was going to go next week, but I've decided to postpone the trip because of threats. I don't want to say too much about it on the air, but I'm okay. I'm safe where I am right now, but I'm not going to take any unnecessary risks. And so people interested can call me, 509-750-9793, or email me at outofthisworld1150@gmail.com. I had problems with people from a 3-letter agency in Washington, D.C. last year who tried to disrupt my trips, and I was very unhappy about that. They lit an illegal fire on the mountain, tried to burn the mountain down, then called the police on me and tried to have me get in trouble. It's a long story, everything that happened, but
Wow.
I just have to be careful now,
Mhm.
because they are ruthless.
Okay. It's my understanding too that someone wanted me to ask you about the different energy vortexes in Sedona. If you would give a idea of where they are, which ones that.
I'm going there in September. If you like, just join me and I'll show you where they are. Bell Rock's one of them.
Bell Rock, yeah, that
Yeah,
figures.
Bell Rocks is one of them. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah. And the other place is McDonald's. They're from the Happy Meals. No, I'm just kidding.
I
Sorry.
knew you had to be kidding on that one. Well, we have a guest that talks about a quantum wave. Are you familiar with that? Have you heard anything
I
about
haven't.
that?
No, no, I haven't.
Okay, so that's not anything that you're particularly aware of. This was supposed to be some kind of calming.
Oh, yeah,
some type
somebody
of.
told me about that. Yeah, the wave's coming. Yeah, it's going to help. Yeah, it's definitely going to help. If you give me like a day or two, I can find out much more information about it. Sure.
Oh, okay. Well, we can always answer that in the description later on as well, because people are interested because they believe the Silver Legion is involved and this quantum wave may be having some type of effect. So, and the Schumann resonance, like you said, has been off the charts lately.
Yeah, yeah, it's over 10,000 hertz right now.
So will it continue to stay up or continue? Is that part of the ascension process?
Absolutely. Do birds fly? Do we breathe air?
No. Stupid question. No. Okay.
Does a
No.
bear scratch his butt on a tree in the woods?
Yes, it's true. I could give more examples, but
Okay.
yeah.
Well, how about the book about communicating with our guides and so on? Can we cover a little bit? Can you give people an idea of how to do that?
Sure. Well, in my new second book, and they're welcome to write me for it about a copy, I include the phone numbers for the angels and the galactics. Now, when you
Mm-hmm.
call them, of course, from Earth, there's an extra charge because of the galactic interconnection charges.
Mm-hmm.
But somebody just how do we talk to them? You can usually they talk in Swahili and in Korean. So you've got to learn Swahili or Korean. I'm just kidding, of course. You talk to them through your heart mind. There's people have two different minds. They've got one through their logical mind and their heart mind. And if you talk to them through your heart mind, you'll always get 100% of your answers correct. The first thing you have to do is cover yourself first in a cone of white light, and then put a series of mirrors around you facing outward to deflect any negativity. And then you ask God and the angels to put that into effect for the next 24 hours. And I've been in contact with the other side now since November of 1994. So I've been doing this for 27 years right now. So and I've been in contact with my good friends, Albert Einstein, President Kennedy, Nostradamus, and other great spirits on the other side since 2015. Actually, they came to me and wanted me to write this book about our beautiful, bright future. So, but I'm trying to summarize things as best as I can because we don't have a lot of time. But if you want to talk to the other side, I have a program where I teach, but just send me an email to outofthisworld1150@gmail.com, or you can call me at 509-750-9793. My Skype address is Ted Mahr, OTW Radio. You can find me on Skype as well.
Okay, and I will put put your links and email and phone in the description of the video when we put it up.
Okay, great.
It may take me a little bit to be able to do that, but I'll do it. I've got a couple other questions. For one thing, do we all have guardian angels?
Yeah, we do. We have at least one. We all have a lot of guardian angels. And you have guardian angels, Gail,
more than one.
Paul and Christine. Yeah, you all. And typically, a lot of times, they're family members who have passed on, and they're there. And all you have to do is first protect yourself with a cone of white light, and before you talk to them, and then you just kind of dial into them. it takes practice. You talk to them through your heart mind. The only problem is that if you've taken part of this program, all of your chakras are shut down and your pineal gland doesn't work anymore. So you got to get that back first now if you want to talk to the other side. And I realize people are innocent and they didn't realize what they were doing. But the Galactics will help people, and they said they would. If you want to live and you want help, you will get it. I guarantee it.
So
well,
this
that's a good
ascension-
question. I'm sorry, I didn't. I hate it when
That's
I do
okay.
that. That's a really good question.
Try to remember.
If your pineal gland is shut down and your chakras are shut down and you're separated from your higher self, how do you contact these Galactics?
Get a hold of me and I'll help you contact them. You can put your hand over your heart, do the hue like that, and ask the Galactics and the Pleiadians to come in and help you, and I know they will. Okay?
Okay.
It's
I
not
learned the
easy.
hue from Scott Lemuriel. That's
Yeah,
the first
I
time I
learned
ever
it too
learned
from
about the
Scott.
hue.
I really appreciate
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
So
Well,
I use it too when I go out in nature and meditate, and I do the hue and some Saint Germain decrees and things of that nature, and it makes me feel so much better,
that's
especially when things are getting kind of crazy.
Yeah.
I feel so bad that so many people have fallen for this massive experimental program, thinking and trusting the people who are administering it, when in fact they are deceiving them, and should know better. Otherwise, they shouldn't be in practice. I find that very disturbing.
That was my lesson from my last lifetime in Nazi Germany. When I was born in Heidelberg in 1929, and I joined the Hitler Youth and ended up marching around. I didn't commit any atrocities, but I did see quite a bit. And then I realized it was all a sham after they sent my girlfriend, who was Jewish, to a concentration camp with her parents in 1942 to Buchenwald. I told them at the time, I remember the details now, that I said, this is all a lie and they're going to slaughter you. And they did. And after that, I didn't care. I was executed by the Nazis in November 44 in Berlin. And it's a long story, but these people, they're too trusting. I don't know why they would ever, I don't know why people would trust these so-called government leaders. I mean, if you look at the there was a program. I've got to be careful what I say, but back, I don't know, 20 years ago, where I think 52 people died as a result of this program, and now we've had thousands dying of it. And why isn't it shut down? It's like,
Exactly. That's absolutely appalling to me, that it hasn't been shut down. Anything else would have been shut down by now, which just proves that it's an intentional thing.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That's right. In my opinion, it is. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering.
And we're getting dangerously close to tickling the algorithm's fancy. So.
Okay. Well, we can also talk about the weather if you like. What's the weather like there?
Yeah.
It's a nice sunny day. It's sunny here.
Yes,
so
it's
I want
nice.
to tell everybody that we can I have things that I can send people. Just send me an email to outofthisworld1150@gmail.com. I'm happy to send them some other information which we cannot discuss on the air.
Yes, because if we do, they'll take us down, and I don't have a backup channel, and I would lose all the work that I've done the last 5 years. But anyway, well, maybe not one more. I get 2 more strikes before they do that, but I don't know. They've been surprising people. And that's not very good at all. So the best help for people that we can say is to be heart-centered and to ask for help from benevolent beings.
Yeah, and they will help you. Believe me, I know they will.
Mm-hmm.
And they will.
Okay, and
is there a way that somebody that has not been shut down, that knows somebody that has been shut down can physically be with them, and then the other person acts as a go-between. They ask for help for that other person.
You have to have their permission.
Yeah, well, if they're right next to you, do I have your permission to ask for the Galactics to help you? They say yes, and then you do the Hume thing, and then you contact the Galactics from your heart center, and you say, this person didn't know, this person is innocent, they didn't know what they were doing, will you help this person?
They'll help anyway. They will help anyway.
Yeah, okay.
But you have to be careful nowadays of the shedding.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That's another whole topic.
That is another whole topic. And from what I've heard just yesterday, and I haven't had a chance to investigate it anymore, is it's not just the shedding of the certain protein that we speak of, but it's also the shedding of the other operating system that we have mentioned that is delivered as well as part of the program. So that is a big issue for everybody. And it's, I do hope this ascension comes along pretty soon because
right.
That seems to be,
it will
take us out of this mess that we're in or something. So the decisions that we make now, you talked about that somewhat. What kinds of things can people do to help the ascension move forward?
Treat each other with kindness. And there's a passage from the Bible. It says, Jesus said, I can't remember the passage, but it's like, have people on pity for they don't know not what they're doing, kind of thing. You know, don't be judgmental too much on people. I mean, I get attacked too sometimes, you know, and you got to realize that people who are mind controlled and brainwashed, they're not going to act rationally. I mean, it's like playing, if you tell them not to play on the freeway and they do it anyway, and you tell them, hey, there's a truck coming your way and you're right in the middle of it and you're liable to get squished. If they don't want to listen to you, there's only so much you can do. Yeah, thank you. Father, forgive them for they know not what they were doing. And Jesus said that as he was being crucified. So it's compassion. One thing I like about the Dalai Lama is that he talks about compassion to the Chinese for slaughtering all his friends and family in Tibet. And he talks about compassion. I think you have to have compassion for them and forgiveness as well. You know, there's no such thing as death, really, that you simply change dimensions. And a lot of people will be finding out those spiritual lessons in the future. But again, it's not it's a death sentence only if you don't want help. If you want help, it'll be provided to you, and you want to live. But you have to remember that. Okay.
What about the med beds? Do you anticipate they'll be coming still in November? Or I remember that's what we said in the last show. Still November.
But the thing is that the med beds cannot reverse the DNA damage.
Well, I heard there are 3 different kinds of med beds. Is there any truth to that?
I don't know the distinctions. I don't know the distinctions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess, do you have any other questions, Paul? I think we got about an hour now. Did you hear me, Paul?
Yeah, I did. It just takes me a minute to get unmuted because I spend most of my time muted. So, because I'm like switching hither and fro. Let's see. You know what? I really don't think so. I think I was extremely rude and I just jumped in. Every time there was a question that hit my head, I just kind of blurted it out, and I apologize for that. I'm sorry.
Okay,
but
that's all right.
And I have a really, really good memory. I do. It's just that long. So
that's my problem. It's like if I don't ask when I think of it, I might forget it before we get done.
Right.
Well, that's because we're creative. We're creative and we live in the moment and all that fun stuff. Now, Okay, there were a couple of things that I saw in the chat. Don't preach, inspire by example. That was from Harry Honkman, I believe. I'm sorry, it just scrolled off my screen. I didn't have a chance to read the name. That's awesome. Let's see. Yeah, I was looking.
Have you ever talked to Edgar Casey? Someone asked. Ted.
Oh yeah.
I haven't, not to Edgar Casey. I've talked to Nostradamus quite a bit, but I haven't contacted him. I could probably do that. He's right here. If you want to ask anything.
Well,
so the other night I woke up in the middle of the night and I got contact. I was reading but I've been in contact now the last couple of years with George Washington, and I was reading a book about his spiritual beliefs, which I thought was just fascinating. He was a great man. And I got in contact with General Patton and started having a really interesting conversation with him. I need to continue that. I was just sleepy. It was the middle of the night. So we need to continue that. So
what did Nostradamus think about Naughty Beaver Channel, or who promotes Nostradamus
I don't know anything about
YouTube?
that, but I could ask him.
I don't. Yeah, that's a strange name, but he has some pretty good shows on. Well, he mentioned the Civil War already. Ted did, didn't you? The possible that was something that you see as a potential in the future in the United States.
Right. That's true.
And would that be the people that who? What is the Civil War about? I mean, what
I don't have a lot of details.
Like people fighting each other? I'm just trying to figure out what it would be. Yeah, I got red versus blue
states about the Union breaking down. I mean, Texas almost. I mean, like the Biden Energy Agency wouldn't let Governor Abbott in Texas store up power for that deadly freeze that they had this winter. And some say it was in retaliation for the Texas support of Trump's election. And so because and then Biden somehow allowed the electric power grid in Texas to be allowed to be connected into the Chinese intelligence agency. And Abbott got pretty upset about that and wanted to break it off and do their own power, and Biden refused. I think Abbott in Texas should have just gone on his own and said, Biden, you want to join communist China, go right ahead. But we're going to be breaking off and be part of
and you're going to hang for treason too. So
right. So that's what I'm going to see happening. Yeah. So I don't know. I can find out though. You know,
there was a report of a national general who bought 160,000 acre property
in Texas.
In Texas, spitting distance from a huge military installation, and also
10 miles.
Yeah, and also directly adjacent to the power grid in that area. But one person, Patricia Moss in the chat, she's asking, please respond to the danger of the hair coming off your animals in the spring, that word, and asking how we can be protected by Spike. If your dog happens to be named Spike.
Email me. I'll send you some information. I'm a little hesitant to go on to it on this public channel. Okay.
Okay. So anybody interested in the answer to that question, email him, and he'll just blast out an email of information to you.
Right. I got a bunch of stuff. Out of this world 1150@gmail.com.
Yeah, because well, I might as well have named my cat Spike because I've got that all over the place.
Okay.
Spring.
Okay. All right. All right.
Okay. Well,
right,
I think we have a lot to look forward to here. I want to stay positive. Signing off here as much as possible. We are going to ascend as a planet.
We will.
And I don't know what period of time that will happen in, but do you believe it'll be in this lifetime?
2025.
2025?
We're still on track.
Okay.
2025 for what?
The ascension into the fifth dimension. But other parts of the planet, like I said before, will be ascending first.
So will we see peace this year, or will it be sometime next year?
I don't know. The Civil War is a new factor. I can let you know in a couple days. I don't know all the details yet. It takes me time to meditate, get the answers.
Okay.
Talk to the letter before R.
Yeah, Snuffy TC1 said that they met someone who lost their dog due to the hair loss. And I don't know exactly what they're saying about that. I don't know if it's I'm thinking that it might actually affect dogs.
Affect all of us. It's a Frankenstein formula for disaster.
Yeah. Well, that's what they definitely like put yourself in self-quarantine if you're planning on expecting, or if you are expecting, or if you're nearing delivery. Definitely avoid shedding.
Correct.
Definitely.
Yeah. Do not hug anybody. Don't touch them. Don't breathe in their air. Period. Got to be very careful. Yeah.
You know, this is it. I wish this was something that the Galactics could help us with, because it's such a nefarious thing that has been let loose on the population. And sometimes you don't even, just like the people who didn't know what they were doing when they participated in the program, you still have people out there who do not know who's participated in the program, and you may
have to keep a high
them.
vibration. Send me an email and I'll send you some remedies. Okay.
Okay.
To take the HCQ and the pine needle tea. You'll be all right. Keep your vibrations high. Send me an email. I'd rather do that than discuss it on the air.
There's a really good question. Do insects play a role? Because I've heard about I've heard about mosquitoes transferring shedding hither and fro. Do the bees know what's going on?
They do. Let's have another show on it, okay, my friends? We could have another show on this very topic.
Oh.
Okay. Well, we're over our hour now anyway. So there was one last question, was what about any advanced tech? Will that be coming in, or who's?
The best people to save us are ourselves. The Galactics will be helping. Yeah, they will help us. But it's a tricky thing with free will. So we should have another show on it. It would take a long.
But I always have to question. Yeah, I always have to question how much free will do people who are mind controlled really have.
That's true.
So that's always an issue.
Right. So.
But anyway, thank you so much, Ted, for your time. Thank you for everything that you said, and I apologize to the audience that we can't speak as freely as we would like to.
Right. When you talk about free will, how much free will did the German people have when they voted in Hitler in 1933? How much free will? I don't know.
Who knows?
These are the same kind of issues. How much free will did the German Jews and the Jews have of Europe when they were paraded off to the concentration camps and the boxcar trains, and Hitler said that they were going off to a new life? How much free will did they have then? I don't know.
Well, too, currently right now, how much free will have the people have with the current situation in terms of the who is in charge, because they cheated. So
well, there's a lot more we can talk about. We should have another show. In the meantime, just send me an email to outofthisworld1150@gmail.com.
And I know everybody that's listening to this show already knows this, but I feel the need to say it anyway. Don't believe the media. Newspapers, the television, the radio stations, they're all owned by 6 corporations.
That's right.
Get your news from an alternative site like Free Range with Gail of Gaia. Or just
trust your heart mind as to what's true and what isn't.
Or trust your heart space. Don't go to CNN.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. All righty then. Well, thank you so much, Ted. Thank you, Paul, and thank you, Christine, and everyone.
I broadcast on Saturdays on BBS Radio 1 out of San Francisco. You can go to my website and get all the information at outofthisworldradio.net. And then on Mondays, I broadcast out of Vienna, Austria, in German and English in Vienna, Austria. And this weekend, I'm having some incredibly interesting guests coming up.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, you can go to the bbsradio.com/out of this world radio, and you can look at my shows there as well on BBS Radio 1.
Archives? Are archives available also?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Sweet.
Okay. Well, fantastic. And thank you so much, Ted. And we'll let you go.
Okay. All right. Good.
And
All right.
I'm sure you have a lot to do. And
Okay.
thank you for your time. And maybe we can do this again sometime.
Love to do it anytime at all, my friends. Great to see you
Okay.
all. Okay.
Thank
Please,
you.
when you're
Great seeing
listening,
you.
please have them write me, and I'm happy to answer their questions.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for listening. And we'll see you again.
All right, my friends. All righty. You take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.